I'm not sure if my personal approach has changed a lot, but just the way how I see a lot of planners, a lot of strategists, and the industry itself has changed is I believe that we are moving away from strategy being super theory-led, super theoretic, super slow at times, and going into a model that is slightly more agile, that is more flexible than it used to be. So I think that's where strategy in general is heading, because just the times have changed so much as well, right? It's nothing is really set in stone anymore, and the planner's job these days is really not done at the beginning stage only anymore, right? So it used to be back in the days, it's like, okay, I'll go through the research process, I will distill and I will define some insights, and then I brief in the creatives and I'm done, right? And I don't think that planning and strategy is only that anymore. I think planners and strategists, they should be involved throughout the entire process, even throughout production and after production once a campaign launches. It's still important as a strategist to stay involved, not just to keep track of where the campaign is going, but also to find opportunities that you as a brand or as a marketer could jump on to basically utilize certain things the way how consumers are reacting to a brand. And I think that's the biggest difference of how and I'm also believing the rest of the industry is nowadays approaching strategy. So I think it all starts really with objectives and goals. For me, it's really important that strategists and creatives are on the same page from the very beginning. Just very often within agency setups, you see that creatives, they are being held accountable for, obviously, for creativity, which most often manifests itself in the form of creative awards. So very often it's, okay, creatives, they are in charge of creative awards. And for planners or strategists, it's effectiveness, right? It's like, oh, we got to make sure that we deliver results, brand metrics, business metrics, etc., so that that it has an impact on the brand, on our clients' businesses, and therefore we go for Effies and effectiveness awards, right? So I think there's quite often a bit of a gap between those two agendas, and therefore you see that creativity or the creative side and the strategy side fairly often are not in tune, right? But if you would manage to basically bring everybody on board with the same objectives, I think then everybody works towards one common goal, and therefore creative and strategy could be in tune. So I would even go that far and make strategists sometimes responsible for creativity, and the other way around, make creatives responsible to deliver, yes, creative work, great ideas, but that also drive effectiveness. It's actually sad to say, because it's 2018 and still talking about digital as a trend, which is kind of ridiculous. But one good thing about digital in context of Hong Kong is that slowly clients and brands are embracing digital not just as an afterthought anymore. It used to be for quite a while in Hong Kong that yes, you go after your traditional ideas and the traditional media, and then, oh, you tag a bit of digital along. But basically with just the same executions, it's just the way how it's put together is more tailor-made for digital channels. I feel that clients and marketers in Hong Kong have now embraced the notion of, oh, my campaign, my marketing can be digitally led in the first place and does not necessarily always need a huge TV or outdoor or print component attached to it. So that is something that I see as positive. It's, again, as I said, it's a bit sad to say it's a trend in 2018, but it's definitely something that that I find is a good step forward. The trends that I don't like is also related to digital. Again, well, as I mentioned, I feel that clients and marketers in Hong Kong have embraced a digital-first model a little bit more than they used to, and it's not treated as an afterthought anymore. I still think the way how people are looking at digital is very much from a pure technology perspective, or sometimes from a very tactical perspective. So a lot of clients, I believe, a lot of people, even agency folks in Hong Kong still think of digital, oh, this is something where you push a few buttons, where you program something, and then it will give you a lot of data, and you'll be able to just quickly put something together that will give you a lot of traffic or good sales results in the short term. But just a few people actually really look at digital as a means of delivery, and still something that should be based on an insight, on a human truth, that should be based still on a big overarching idea. And I think that's still where I see some shortcoming within the Hong Kong market, to basically bring the good old notion of what a big idea, what a creative campaign is from the old school model, and apply it to the digital, well, it's not new school, but to the digital model, and bring it into that world. So I think there's still a lot of work that can be and that has to be done in that space. The one thing that I'm certainly most proud of wasn't actually work for a client. It was a little experiment that our agency started back in 2016. So basically my team setup back then was, I had obviously my strategist, but I also had my own technologist on board. And we would just have this random creative brainstorms and powwows where we would just think of innovative ways to do marketing, but also do other things. And one of the ideas that came up was this jewelry brand that we then actually pitched to our CFO and got the funding for, and we actually launched it in October of 2016, and we called it Crafted by My Heart. And what it was an iOS mobile app that allowed users to customize jewelry based on their heartbeat. So basically what we did, we used the flash and the camera of the smartphone to detect the change of coloration in your finger, of your skin, which is basically representative for your heartbeat. And based on that, it customized a ring. So it was a gift or a piece of jewelry that literally came from your heart. Everybody spent a lot of weekends, a lot of late nights on it. But it was our baby and was quite successful, and we kept it going for a little bit more than a year. But then we decided to shut it down because it kind of interfered with our day jobs, or our day jobs interfered with our own little startup. So yeah. At the end of the day, it really comes down to being a bit more bold. Again, I have the feeling that Hong Kong advertising used to be quite forward-thinking, quite bold, quite single-minded, and it was always the way how I saw it within the context of the region in Asia. I always saw it more as a front runner. I think in the meantime, a lot of other markets, including Korea as well, have caught up with Hong Kong and with bringing interesting concepts to life, also bringing them to life in an interesting way. And I feel that Hong Kong has kind of slightly retreated a little bit into more tactical type of communication, more tactical type of advertising. At some points it has become quite salesy as well. So I think that brands could do better than that in a way to basically just take more risks, not worry too much about potential backlash, because I feel that just creating mediocre campaigns, mediocre communication is almost a bigger risk than having some guts and putting yourself out there.